Welcome back to neame versus the world. It's been an interesting couple of days internationally. There have been a lot of things happening. Let's start off with today. The international day of today is Global Smurf Day, would you believe? If you are my age, you might remember what Smurfs are, or if you're a bit older, if you're 20, you would have no idea. So go and Google Smurf and see what you find. Okay, so the first thing today is obviously Roe v. Wade in the United States of America. Now, I've written down some notes about this, and I've also double-checked on Wikipedia with what it says as well. But this is a tricky one because the rights of women in America have been made less than the rights of men in America. And women didn't have a referendum for this. This was decided by essentially 6 Supreme Court judges out of a panel of 9. So having access to birth control and measures to look after women is vital. Now, there'll be people, if you're on the other side of this argument and you are pro-life, don't be too judgmental about the people who have to make these decisions. Where it all starts is the Americans have a constitution and it dictates how their rights play out in their country. So, a lot of countries have something similar. So initially, a lady called Jane Roe, that was her pseudonym, versus Henry Wade. Henry Wade was the district attorney in Texas. And in 1969, she fell pregnant with her 3rd child. I'm not going to mention her real name, but you can look it up. And the US Supreme High Court finally made its decision in 1973 to include that women had the right to an abortion in the first trimester. It wasn't illegal. In America, was it 24th today? They've repealed that right for women to seek an abortion. And the judges who did that, they put it back to each independent state of the United States to administer its laws and policies. Now, if you live in New York or Los Angeles, and I think there's a couple of other states, women still, aren't considered a criminal for seeking an abortion. Where I think this is going to have dramatic impacts, and again, look, I don't live in America, I admit that, but there are implications for women's rights in America, and I think it's important to at least say something. Where I think this is going to have some of the bigger effects are on poorer communities. And what this may end up creating is generational poverty, where people are stuck in a cycle where when they have a child and they might not be able to seek an abortion, they're a poor family, they never get out of that poverty, that child is born into poverty and then goes on to be involved in criminal activity or may never get out of the cycle themselves. There may be an inability to access abortion services in other states. They may not be able to travel. They may not have the funds to go and seek help. What may occur is an increase in improvised abortions that may ultimately end up killing women because they need to get one and they have to find somebody who is not a doctor to perform it or, flying under the radar. This is a dangerous place to be. And also for poor people and victims of rape and incest may end up going full term with a child that is not theirs, that may suffer from genetic defects and those sorts of things. So there's a world of harm that can come from this for making it illegal. So, and there will be impact on women's decisions that they make with their lives. Women who have the ability to move out of a state that prohibits abortion will move to states where they can live, or they may move overseas to other countries where they don't have to deal with these issues. So people may start moving to Canada or Mexico or other countries. An impact of this may be a brain drain of educated women which will affect the industry. There will be people who can move away, taking their skills into other places. So America may end up going backwards because of this. Domestic violence may increase in the home around discussions about, abortion or pro-abortion or anti-abortion. And there'll be significant protesting around the country, obviously, from both groups. There'll be ideological side effects as well. Women essentially have become what you could say is a second-class citizen in America because now they don't have as many rights as men. Interestingly, these decisions were made by a majority of men, and seem to be, pushed by politicians who are men as well. And there seems to be a very significant religious component to this as well. And it seems to be a step closer towards state and religion being closer together or one and the same, when America's built itself on being about religion and state being separated. I'm sure that the Republicans are all super happy about this as well, because this is just their MO. There'll be global effects as well. I think USA will become less desirable. Americans will be ridiculed. Other countries will have an increase of female immigrants from the USA, and USA's policy essentially doesn't align with the rest of the modern world. So what it all comes down to at the end of it is the rights of women to choose what they do with their bodies. And some people believe that a baby at a certain point is a human being and has rights as well. And if I knew somebody who was against their will, had to have a baby that wasn't of their choosing, I would hope they had the chance to say, I don't want this. Now, it obviously brings in all the questions like, when is a human a human? When is it not just some cells that are dividing, and a number of those sorts of questions. But if that person goes and seeks an abortion from somebody who isn't qualified to do so, and they die as well, then that's terrible. An interesting comment I saw someone make was that a gun has more rights in America than a woman does. I thought that was a really interesting comment. Again, as a male, maybe I don't have the privilege of having an opinion about this, but I don't think taking away the rights of people because another group of people say they shouldn't have it, that doesn't sit well with me. Yeah, I just don't want to see someone who's marginalised or made to be less of a human being than anyone else. No one deserves that. Today's interesting person I wanted to talk about is someone who's actually influenced my life for a long time, and it's been through music and the words that they've said. And that person is Trent Reznor. So his band is 9 Inch Nails, and he has had a number of albums over the years. Gosh, it must be up to, 16 or 17? I can't remember. First album I bought was called Sin, and I bought that in 1997, I want to say. I was a teenager at the time. 9 Inch Nails has been really influential on my personality, I think. It's also helped me look at things from another perspective. His music is very deep, I think you could say. There's a bit of emotion in it. Some of it is alternative and in opposition to main forms of thinking. And I hope that guy across the road with the chainsaw stops real soon. If you can hear it, I'm sorry. I hate chainsaws. So I've been influenced heavily by that music, and I have learned to play guitar myself. Done a lot of that for a while. I even had my own band for a while. I called it Sinister, which was Latin for left-handed. I did that for a couple of years, but in 2007, I started to lose the sense of music. I didn't hear it as much, and that sort of fell away. But every time I listen to 9 Inch Nails music, I find myself quite heavily emotionally involved. Now, it's strange for me to admit something like that. I feel like as a human being, I'm in control of my emotions. But when I listen to some of the songs, I find that I fall into this emotional place, and that shows you the power of music. So kudos, Mr. Reznor. You've done very well at affecting and changing people's lives. The reason I'm bringing up Trent Reznor at the moment is that I was watching a new trailer for Westworld, which looks awesome, by the way. Westworld is one of the coolest TV series I have seen in a long time. Amazing effects, amazing storyline and production and thought as to what the characters are doing. And as I watched that trailer, I couldn't help but notice the music in the background was reminiscent of one of his previous songs. I can't remember what song it is just off the top of my head. I'm going to Google it. And then Westworld. Yes, I can multitask. A classic Nine Inch Nails track was featured in HBO's Westworld. Now, where is the bit that's going to talk about it? Something I can never have, yeah. It's heard in the pivotal scene. Oh, Something I Can Never Have came from one of the first album, which is Pretty Hate Machine by Nine Inch Nails. And that's going back to 89, I think. Wow, that's a long time ago. Pretty Hate Machine, TVT Records, yeah, I bet he's not happy about that. Trent Reznor fell away from TVT Records. Apparently they were not fun to work with. All It Could Have Been, nothing, yeah, awesome. Anyway, so yeah, I was watching that trailer and I heard the riff. Gosh, I should remember what the phrase is. I heard a scale and I thought, man, that really sounds like Nine Inch Nails. That is Nine Inch Nails. And so they had re-recorded something, obviously, for it. I can actually see an album. I've got a CD here. Holy moly. I've got, I think this is the Slip. Yeah, I've actually got Halo 27, the Slip CD DVD right in front of me here. Wow. Gosh, I haven't looked at that in ages. This has the songs on it. 999,999, A Million, Letting You, Discipline, Echoplex. They were two cool songs. Lights in the Sky, that was pretty cool. Demon Seed, yeah. Anyway, so I imagine that there are other people out there who have had the same effect on them from music that they listen to. There are people I know who listen to Tool on a daily basis. And hey, look, whenever I'm in the car, it's certainly on my playlist. I listen to Tool probably maybe 2 or 3 times a week, along with other music as well. Rage Against the Machine, Chris Cornell. I'm really showing my age here. But I haven't really sort of sunk my teeth into anything new. And I think that's something that we all do as we get older. When you talk to people that grew up in the 70s, they were very inspired by music that was in the 70s and they never clung to anything else as they got older. And I think that that's probably what happens as teenagers. We latch on to something musically, and it's probably one of the most emotional periods of our lives where we start to really explore our adult emotions. And they help form who we become to a certain extent. So for me, if I had the chance to meet Trent Reznor, well, I doubt he'd really want to have a conversation about all of the music he's made in the past. I'm sure he's lived it over and over again himself. I think, maybe one of those bro moments where you want to go, hey man, yeah, thank you for making your music, shake their hands and just acknowledge that they were there. Yeah, sure, I think that's maybe what, as a grown-up fan, you might want to do. But I can see, in the work that I've done over the years myself, when people come up to me and say, oh man, I saw you in that thing, or, oh, you edited that thing, that was really cool, man, or tell me more about it. Yeah, you don't want to have to relive it. You're glad that you got the chance to do it, but, going over it again and again certainly would suck, because it would take you back to those memories if they were good, bad, or indifferent, who knows. So yeah, I mean, it would be cool to meet, people like that, but I don't think that it would benefit me, but I don't know if it would benefit them. Anyway, so if you're a musician, thank you for the music that you have made and the people that you've obviously inspired. I am inspired by music as well. Yeah, what a good thing to do. What's next? I might speak about this really quickly, actually. This is a really boring topic if you're not worried about spending and stuff like that, so I'll keep it real quick. The phrase or the term is called stagflation. Stagflation essentially is where you go into a supermarket and buy a box of clothes washing powder, and it's $5 for a kilo. But because the cost of everything is going up, what they do is the people who make the product, it's still $5, but instead of getting a kilo now, you get 750 grams. And what that is essentially stagflation. The price stayed the same, it stagnated, but they've obviously given you less for it. So it isn't as big an effect. If it was inflation, then obviously it would still be the kilo box, but now it would be $5 and something. Every time a product is put on the shelf and they give you 20% more, or there is a new flavor or something is different about that product or brand or whatever is on the shelf, they will go out of their way to tell you that has changed, that there is more or less or something's different or whatever. Sorry, if there's more. But you never see advertising on the side of the box which says, due to inflation, we've stagflated this product, so you're getting 20% less for the same price. I wonder, because of reasons for consumers, is it important that when companies change their products and their brands, they essentially give people less from what there was before? Should they actually say on the side of the box, hey, by the way, you're getting less? Because they're always so happy to tell you when you're getting more. Is the customer actually informed about what's happening, or are they hoping that you are dumb and don't look at things? So it's important as a consumer to know if that has happened to you. You probably noticed like chocolate bars have continually got smaller, the amount of biscuits in a packet have got less, the quality of products. Pizzas, you'll get cheap pizzas nowadays that have literally no toppings on it almost. It's just like sauce and 2 or 3 bits of pineapple or whatever. Stagflation has become a interesting reality of our modern society. You're getting just a little bit of something. When I saw this in the movie The Fifth Element, when Bruce Willis is smoking a cigarette, and the cigarette was 2/3 a filter, and 1/3 or even less was actual, the white bit with the nicotine and the tobacco in it. And I think that's a really good example of stagflation, where in the future, people will get less and less product for the same experience. Now, is it a good thing if it was obviously nicotine? Yeah, sure, it might actually be a good thing, reducing the amount that people have, or tobacco at least. But when it comes to people trying to make ends meet and, there being deceptive practices, is it deceptive? I don't know. If you told people about it, it's not deceptive. If you're not telling people about it and just changing things on the shelf, I think there's some role that maybe, the supermarkets need to play, which is to say, hey, this is actually a thing that may happen. You may see products that you used to buy now have less for the same price. It would be important to inform consumers, and I would choose differently if I noticed that there was a product that I used to get that now has less for the same price. I'd think, you cheap bastards. Why am I going to spend my hard-earned money on you guys? How dare you? So, stagflation. Awesome word. It probably wasn't even around 100 years ago. Probably not even thought of. Isn't it lovely, the modern age we live in? Anyway, I hope you enjoy International Smurf Day. Global Smurf Day. There's a difference between international days and global days. Go figure. So happy Smurf yourself. I'm neame, and I'll catch you on the next one.